Michael Nahas. I'm an activist for housing here in Austin. I am against gerrymandering in a huge way. I've worked on it. I've worked with mathematicians on it. Yes, that's a wonderful thing to fight.
It's Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. The filing deadline came and went last night, setting the final picture for the 2026 primaries, just as we were surrounded by a great big crowd of our favorite folks at the first of our two holiday parties for this year at historic Antone's in downtown Austin, already at this early stage in a state where very frequently Republicans run unopposed. Michelle Davis at Lone Star Left enthusiastically announces one of the big picture outcomes of filing day, and that is that all 38 congressional races, all 8 state Board of Education races, all 15 state Senate races, and all 150 state House races have Democratic candidates or incumbents running. That is huge. Lone Star Left has become one of my favorite places to find both information and inspiration, very much worth supporting. See the show notes and more on that coming up. The most seismic, of course, of yesterday's filings wasn't a surprise, though she did keep the cards close until the last minute. J. David Goodman at the New York Times writes the Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Dallas has filed for the U.S. Senate, upending what for months has been a contest between Austin State Rep James Tallarico and former Congressman Colin Allred. Crockett had a big gathering in Dallas for her announcement, which included the unveiling of a Cool First campaign ad featuring Donald Trump's insults of the Congresswoman, which have rolled nonstop since she made his radar years ago. He clearly finds her a threat. And he's right about that, and she's leaning into it as she seeks to eventually face one of Trump's two most pliant supplicants, Senator John Cornyn or Attorney General Ken Paxton, in the general next November. From her speech last night, Crockett says, quote, "What we need is for me to have a bigger voice. We need to make sure that we are going to stop all the hell that is raining down on all of our people. Turning Texas blue is what I want to talk to y'all about today. Y'all ain't never tried it the JC way," unquote. Inspiration on both sides can be expected from a Crockett candidacy. The Times points to recent Texas Politics Project polling numbers showing that Republican respondents to their polls actively dislike the Congresswoman, with her very unfavorable numbers, the ones all the way to the right, extending above a whopping 60% among both dedicated Republican voters and those who simply lean Republican. This is the negative partisanship that we've talked about. Congresswoman Crockett is said to have had conversations about her decision beforehand with both James Tallarico and Colin Allred, the latter of whom presumably made the call that adding Crockett to the calculus fatally undermined his prospects in that race. As we talked about yesterday, Allred has instead filed for House District 33, setting up primary races between Crockett and Tallarico in the Senate run and his own primary run against Congresswoman Julie Johnson, who is in battle mode, noting to WFAA in Dallas that she believes Allred is, quote, hopscotching around to find something to run in, unquote, while Allred has yet to directly engage back. We're going to talk to Colin Allred later this week. Watch the feed for that. Speaking of CD33, perhaps a surprise from yesterday. I didn't see this coming anyway. Gabby Birnbaum at the Texas Tribune reports on a Democratic showdown at the county level in Tarrant County that's emerged from all this, as current and 7-term District 33 Congressman Mark Veazey has foregone an 8th try and has instead filed for Tarrant County Judge, which sets up a Democratic primary clash with Tarrant County Commissioner Alyssa Simmons, also a victim of the first wave of Republican redistricting this year, who has also filed in that race to eventually take on her MAGA arch-nemesis, Republican Tarrant County Judge Tim O'Hare. Let me say that here at Progress Texas, we hope all this silly season inter-party stuff stays as nice as possible, though we're not really counting on it. Let's do keep in mind that pitting well-known and well-liked Democratic players against each other is not an unintended consequence of Republican redistricting. It is, in fact, a feature of Republican redistricting, and Democrats need to rise above that. At Progress Texas, we are not fans of unnecessary roughness between Dems, and we're going to be watching. We also note that it appears that our old pal Clayton Tucker ends up unopposed in his run for Ag Commissioner. Congrats, Clayton. Talked to him this morning. Clayton notes that another friend of ours, State Rep John Rosenthal, also ends up unopposed for Railroad Commissioner. And an interesting side note here, that Catherine Colbert, who won the Democratic primary in that same race over Progress Texas endorsee Bill Birch in the 2024 cycle, but then lost to Republican Commissioner Christy Craddock by over 16 points, has filed to run again, but this time Catherine Colbert has filed to run as a Republican. As I recall, one of Bill Birch's criticisms of Colbert during those conversations was that by her own personal voting record, she wasn't even really a Democrat. That turns out to have been a keen assessment, and there's a fair amount more to discuss there. There's lots more to unpack on this day after the filing deadline, lots more to plan as well. Once again, we refer you not to the Texas Secretary of State's website. They were super slow getting all this stuff listed last night. Rather, we refer you to both the state and federal lists compiled by Michelle Davis at Lone Star Left. See the links in the show notes. Once again, we had a blast last night at the first of our 2 holiday parties at Antone's in Austin. Biggest crowd we've had there yet. And by the way, congratulations to Antone's on their 50th anniversary, which they continue celebrating. Watch this podcast feed later today for last night's talk with State Senator and candidate for Texas Comptroller Sarah Eckhart and State Senator Roland Gutierrez and Austin City Council member Zoe Kadri, both of whom are running for re-election to their current positions for the first time. We're even more pumped about our second holiday party this year, which is next Monday, December 15th in Dallas, also featuring a live podcast recording with gubernatorial candidate Gina Hinojosa, candidate for Attorney General Joe Jaworski, Texas House Minority Leader Gene Wu of Houston, and added to the second party lineup during the first party last night, State Rep and candidate for Lieutenant Governor Vicki Goodwin, who we are really glad to be able to put back on the marquee. All of this is being made possible by Shaping the Future supporter Charles Zeller, Fired Up supporter John Adair, Be the Change supporters Alex Andrade, Scott Elpingstone, Howard Cleon, the Honorable Dick Levine, and the Honorable James Tallarico. Persistence supporters, the Honorable Yasmin Simon, Jason Smith and Sarah Pareda, Unified, and Jerry Yoss. Good Trouble supporters, Allison Grincher Allen, Bright Blue Inc., Alex Clark and Kate Rumsey, hosts of the Mission Texas podcast, Valerie DeBille, the Honorable Vicki Goodwin, Freda Hill, Joe Jaworski, the Honorable Ron Nierenberg, the Honorable Bill Peterson III, and Mark Yagjian. Raise More Hell supporters of Val, Louis A. Bedford IV, the Honorable John Busey III, Stuart Campbell, Hannah Cutshaw, Bill Holston, the Honorable Donna Howard, Will Judy, Angela and Gary Kutak, Jenny Laughlin, Carol Orr, Jennifer Owen, Mark Ferris, Gary Potts, the Honorable Zoe Kadri, Save Texas, Beth Stromberg, the Honorable Adam Schwartz, and the Texas Progressive Caucus. Our mission here at Progress Texas is to counter the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine, and we rely largely on listener support to keep doing what we do. While we enjoy the support of hundreds of partners, chances are that you, dear listener, haven't joined the team yet. If you're a regular, let's get you on board right now. Huge thanks to monthly supporters John Scott, Brian Mars, and Jacqueline M. Stewart. We appreciate all of you very much. Join the team now at ProgressTexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a terrific day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.